smallest cities in our state have the same equal footing as those in our most affluent neighborhoods. Our elders and veterans can access services like telehealth online that high school students in our urban centers aren't forced to study in restaurant lobbies because they cannot access the web at home. The Washington State Office of Equity, bridging the digital divide across the Evergreen State.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for this? This is Rainier Avenue Radio World, the station that cares about our community.
For LidLine Sports. It's 7 o'clock, and you know what time it is. It's time for LidLine Sports. Welcome back, everybody, to LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio World. It's broadcasting live from the beautiful facilities here in downtown Columbia City in the south end of Seattle. I am your host, Pep, and my man, Otis, Harry Potter Stevenson, is with us as well. What's happening, Mr. Potter?
Oh, man, you're still going on, Pep.
I'm not off of that yet.
I'm live right now from West Seattle High School. We just have
Oh,
practice.
okay.
Yeah, man, just enjoying getting these kids prepped for the season, man. It's been fun getting to know these kids, man, and it's gonna be a decent season for us. So that's what I've been doing, man.
Nice to see the blue sky on the moon roof there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had another crazy week in the NFL. I mean, week 3 was bonkers, for lack of a better term, I guess. Wow. I mean, there was a lot of crazy upsets, and there's kind of one going on right now. There's 2 games here on Monday Night Football. The Bills are just having their way with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it was 37-10 the last time I looked. And then the Washington Commanders are up on the Cincinnati Bengals 28-13 at my last look. So that's the surprise I'm talking about as far as this game is concerned. But before we get into the NFL, let's go ahead and start with some WNBA, believe it or not, because their playoffs are the first games are all in the books.
Yep.
It started yesterday, and all the home teams won, and all the favored teams won. And let's start with the Liberty and the Dream. That would be New York and Atlanta. And the Liberty took care of the Dream 83-69, had really no problem with that, led by ex-Storm superstar Breanna Stewart. And in the other Eastern game, we have the Connecticut Sun and the Indiana Fever. And the Sun had their way with them at 93-69. Kind of a bad day for Caitlin Clark because, look, just like in most pro sports, the playoffs are much more intense and different than the regular season. Would you agree, sir? Okay. You nodded your head, but I couldn't hear you. All right, so we got a little lag in the video. So that's all right. Anyway, the Sun defeated the Fever 93-69, and in the West, the Minnesota Lynx beat the Phoenix Mercury.
I mean, now you're able to hone in on a game plan.
We're losing you from periodically. Oh, just so you know.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. You probably wouldn't know.
Sorry, I muted real quick. But yeah, and now.
Yeah. So Minnesota beat.
Can you hear me now?
Hold on a second. Let me finish this real quick. 102-93 over the Phoenix Mercury, and finally the Las Vegas Aces defeated the Seattle Storm 78-67. And we can hear you spottily, periodically. Your signal seems to be a little lagging right now, O. So let's see if you can get that together. Perhaps maybe if you can move around somewhere else, maybe since you're mobile, that might help. I don't know. But anyway, I'll continue on. The WNBA, like I said, the playoffs have just started yesterday. 4 games
Can you
were
hear
played.
me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. How's your reception? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes. But you're lagging. Yeah, it's lagging real bad. So anyway, as I was saying, the WNBA is underway as far as the playoffs is concerned. Got games 2s on for everybody tomorrow. Let me check tomorrow. No, the East. No, the Liberty and the Dream play tomorrow, and the Storm and the Aces play tomorrow. Wednesday, you've got the Fever and the Sun in the East, and the Mercury and the Lynx play Wednesday. And of course, if the Storm win tomorrow, they play again on Thursday here in Seattle, and so on and so forth. So basically, this is a is it a best of 3? I guess it is, because if the Aces win the first 2, it's over. So anyway, I predict the Aces probably win. They're not going to lose at home, not to the Storm. The Storm, they just don't have enough. And I don't know if anybody has enough except for maybe New York or Connecticut to beat the Las Vegas Aces. Even though the Lynx probably have been the best team in the West all season. So it'd be pretty interesting to find out if they match up, what will happen, which I think they will. I believe the Aces will beat the Storm, and I believe that the Minnesota Lynx will beat the Phoenix Mercury, probably sweep them. So I'm looking to see the Lynx and the Aces in the West. In the East, it's more than likely going to be the Liberty. Should dispatch the Dream pretty easily. And I think the Sun won't have much of an issue with the Fever. So I think it's going to be pretty much the top 4 teams playing against each other, as far as the top 2 in the East, top 2 in the West. So that's going to be interesting to see what's happening in the WNBA. Also in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark has been voted the unanimous Rookie of the Year. So congratulations to her. Angel Reese obviously was right there with her in second place for rookies, and she's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the upcoming season. Chicago Sky, I think they pretty much had a disappointing season, having drafted the I hate to use the term bigs for women, but I'm saying that as far as their height. I'm not calling them big as far as heavy the weight or anything like that. So don't get it twisted. Don't get all disgusted or been out of shape about it when I say they're bigs. So Cardozo and Scott and Angel Reese were the top 2 picks for the Chicago Sky, and so I think Cardozo got hurt though for most of the year, so she really wasn't able to contribute as much as she would like. Because I thought that the Chicago Sky would be much better than they were, and they didn't even make the playoffs. So, and then of course we know that Angel Reese was shut down towards the last 2 weeks of the season for an injury. So she'll be good to go by next season. And I think the Chicago Sky will probably have a better showing. So while we're still waiting on, hopefully, O to get back. Are you back?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
So I don't understand, Pep, with the WNBA playoffs. I don't like the format where the home team plays their first 2 games at home, but if it goes to a game 3, they're playing on the road.
Mm-hmm.
That is so weird. I was looking at that with the Storm series. I don't know if you noticed or if you knew, Pep. The Storm scored one field goal in the fourth quarter.
2 points. They were outscored 14-2 in the fourth quarter. But the playoffs, man, it's intensity. Yeah. They've got to be able to match intensity, and they could not and did not do that. And look, Jewel Lloyd has been off all season for the most part.
She has.
So I don't know what's wrong with her. I don't know if if she's got an injury that is more severe than she's been letting on all season, because she's had a handful of games where she was like, the gold mamba that we know. But for the most part, I'm sorry, she's had a very disappointing season.
Yeah.
And that's really costing them right now, because she only had 6 points yesterday.
Come on, man. And to even piggyback off what you were saying before I stepped into the weird matrix, the playoffs is built for a game-to-game situation. Now you have coaches who can hone in on a game plan on players, and that's all they have to focus on. And you've seen players like Caitlin Clark, even though, yes, she is a rookie, but she struggled going against the Connecticut Sun. And I won't be surprised, not because she's not a good player, but I just won't be surprised if Caitlin Clark does struggle in this playoff series, just as being a rookie, having the ball in her hands and whatnot. I can just see her having a struggle this series. I also wanted to talk about, Pep. I don't know if you've been hearing the words that Cheryl Swoops, her comments that she's made in regard to.
I've heard a little bit,
Caitlin
but can
Clark.
you enlighten us? And what?
Yeah, she went on Gilbert Arenas' podcast, and they brought up the whole Caitlin Clark situation, Angel Reese, and she said that Caitlin Clark wasn't dominating. Now that's very opinionated, and I kind of understood what she was saying in a sense. But for a rookie to come in averaging 20 and 10, I can maybe say not dominating, because I think there's only one player who has pretty much dominated in the WNBA so far this year, and that is A'ja Wilson.
But Caitlin Clark's a guard. What is she going to dominate?
And I don't know, like, where it definitely sounded like some hate, and it sucks coming from one of the first pioneers of the WNBA, a Hall of Famer, and Cheryl Swoops.
Yes,
there needs to be a bridge gap between all this hate going on from some of these former players and players in the league and Caitlin Clark, and there needs to be an embrace of what she is bringing, and not just her though, but what she is bringing to the WNBA. And we both said it, Pepe, and I'll keep saying that we knew that she was going to struggle to start the season, but boy, she turned it on, and she helped turn around her team, who have not been to the playoffs, I think, in the last 3-4 years. To the playoffs.
They started off 1-8.
Yeah, I don't know how else
and made the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know how there is still negativity being spewed towards her. I don't get it. And like I said, shame on Cheryl Swoops for being, like I said, a pioneer and a great of WNBA and speaking those type of words on Caitlin Clark. It just needs to stop. It needs to stop.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm still sick of it. And you know what? Speaking of that, I'm tired of the comparisons with today's NBA to the 90s and all that. I'm so sick of that. Yeah. I mean, listen, those players in the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever, they all earned whatever it is they did. They earned that.
Yep.
Right? So to try and disparage calling them plumbers and bricklayers and painters and all that stuff, and okay, but in that era, these guys, in Major League Baseball especially, they had to take second jobs because those contracts and money that they were making weren't, as it is today, or even in the when it started to become exorbitant in the late 70s and early 80s, when Reggie Jackson started making $1 million a year and whatnot. I mean, we thought that was unheard of back then, right? Yeah. But those players back in the 50s, 40s, whatever, man, they had to have regular jobs along with playing baseball, and the fact that they could do that is extraordinary to me.
Look, Pep, if you play,
celebrated.
you make it professional in any league at any era, you are one of the best to play that sport at that time.
Absolutely.
And there should never, ever be any type of down talk just to give praise to another era. And I will never, like, we all have fun, we joke, and we may call like some players bums or whatnot.
Yeah,
there is
absolutely.
but there is no such thing as a professional athlete that is a bum at all. There's no such thing.
Right. And you're absolutely right, and I'm guilty of it because I call plenty of them, and I do, but look, they're getting that NBA, MLB, NFL check that I'll never ever see. Right. I could only dream of, and so
that's another point though that you made. Also, these professional players, I feel like they need to understand they can get critiqued. They can get called out for not playing well. It's a part of the sport. Nobody has ever been
part of the job description.
Exactly.
That's a fact, and you got to be accessible to the media and all that stuff. And then you got to be able to answer for whatever performance you did or didn't do. Right.
Yep.
If you were supposed to do this or do that and you didn't, you got to answer for that.
Yep.
Whether you like to or not. That's part of the gig. So man. But so anyway, that's a bow on. We'll put a bow on the WNBA, and like I said, tomorrow 2 more games: the Storm and the Aces, and then the Dream and the Liberty play tomorrow. And then Wednesday would be the Sun and the Fever, and the Lynx and the Mercury. So tune into those if you can, and watch those women play and put it out there on the line. In baseball, the Mariners right now are up 2-0 on the Astros, but look, I'm only giving the score as a courtesy because we're not. What are we expecting here? Even if they sweep the Astros, right? So what? Nothing.
Yeah.
They own
that
0 tiebreakers on anybody that's ahead of them. I mean, they would need to sweep the rest of the season, right? And then have a miracle happen afterwards. Even though the Twins are trying.
Yeah, they can forget the AL West. That's not happening.
No.
They got a puncher's chance of popping in the wild card, and I don't know if that's going to happen, especially with
heck no. That ain't going to happen, bro.
Yeah, the way that the Detroit Tigers are playing right now, they're playing really well. I don't know. It's just so laughable, though, Pep, because I don't know what goes on in the offseason for the Mariners for them to start playing this desperate baseball come September. I don't know why it takes that long for these guys to start playing like this, especially Julio, who is supposed to be the poster child of Seattle baseball. It takes all the way until September for him to show superstar habits that we know that he is. I'll give him a little bit of a break because of the injury, but he was playing, I won't say god-awful, but pedestrian. And now he's turned it on, and he's looked like a superstar, but it's too late. It's pretty much too late. It's about to strike midnight, and it's going to be another long off season for the Mariners now with a lot of questions, especially with now, do you bring Dan Wilson back? Is DePoto going to be coming back? What moves do you look to make? I'm tired. I'm tired of this, though, Pep. And there has to be some type of urgency come off season, because I'm tired of seeing good baseball for a month and bad baseball for 2 months and then good baseball for a month, then pedestrian. Just can't win like that. And we're talking about an AL West that I think the Rangers will come back much better. They went through a lot of injuries last year. I think the Astros will still be there. And I don't know. There's just something about those A's, man. They're young, but they're coming. It may not be next year. Could be in the next 2 to 3 years, but they're going to be all right in the next 2 to 3 years, I feel like. So,
yeah.
It's unfortunate, once again, that we are now probably going to see Mariners not playing in the playoffs. So,
yeah. Yep, definitely. And then, should we call Julio Mr. September then? Because if Reggie Jackson is Mr. October, then Julio might be Mr. September. But that's doesn't
matter though. Yeah,
doesn't matter. It's weak.
Doesn't matter.
And
but he's balling.
I do like Oakland's lineup, man. If we, like I said it last week, if we had Oakland's lineup, man, we'd be 20 games over 500 right now.
Yeah,
you know, in our pitching. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to give up one of our pitchers in the offseason. It's just gonna have to happen. It's you know, I don't know if it's gonna be Castillo, Gilbert, Kirby, Hancock, Wu, but one of them's gone. He's gonna have to. If you want production, if you want somebody here that's gonna give us production, we're gonna have to give up one of them starters.
If it can be for Castillo, I'll be okay with that. I think because we can get that money off the books, especially if you're going to be bringing in a player who you possibly may have to pay in the next year or two. I would try to pull off Castillo, but I know if it's going to be like an upper echelon player.
I had one untouchable, but in the last 2 starts, he's been awful.
Yeah, and I think we jinxed him.
Yeah,
and I think he was due, though.
The last couple of starts. He's been getting tagged.
Yeah, I think he's still untouchable. Yeah,
I mean, you still got to, put a block on him, right?
Yeah.
Agree. But Hancock, and don't forget, we still have Matt Brash.
Yep.
Brash was out all season long, right? So, if they need a starter, because he was a starter and then he became the ace reliever last year. But if we need him to start, he can do it, and I'm confident. Yeah. I got confidence in him. That he'll come back from this season's injury and be okay by next season. But but we look, man. We need somebody. Look, they need to get somebody like Juan Soto. I mean, Soto's going to be available. He's going to be a free agent, though. You don't have to trade for him. But they need to open up. The ownership needs to open up the books. And I know I hear it all the time. Oh, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. But I mean, what are they waiting on? Because what they're doing now is not working, right? And then you say, well, they've done it before with Robinson Cano, but they didn't have the team around him like we have now. There's a whole big difference. You bring Juan Soto in here with him and Julio, and you got Robles, and then you got Cal Raleigh. That's a whole different setup because you can't just pitch to certain guys. You're gonna have to pitch around, and then these guys are gonna be able to get some knocks.
Yep.
And that's what you need. You need some production, and we're not getting it consistently. That's the problem with the Mariners. They can pitch, but then when they're not pitching well, then they're doomed because they'll lose 11-10. So it's like, man, come on.
Top of the 8th, bases loaded right now, so no outs.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah, and how many runs you think they'll score? I say none. I mean,
I'll give one.
Okay. Well, that would be great.
Yeah.
Because then it would be 3-0, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then Houston will score 4 in the 9th, and then.
So we have Houston, and then is the A's, and that's it.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, the A's coming up this weekend, and that's the end of the season.
Disappointing. Just another disappointing season.
Yep.
No other way to explain it. Just another disappointing season.
Yeah, so look, their only answer is they're gonna have to make some people uncomfortable. They're gonna have to change. They're gonna have to probably trade a starter, and then if they can't get somebody in free agency, which is hard to do because people do not want to come here. Right? I mean, that's the bottom line. But you got to make people want to come here. You got to throw money because money talks, and what else walks.
Agree.
So if you want people to come here, then you better throw some checks at them. I mean, that's just it because it ain't working the other way. Right? Is it? No. So you're gonna have to change.
Before we go to commercial break, Pep, have you been watching any college football?
Oh, yes, I have.
Uh-huh.
I did watch the Huskies.
Uh-huh.
And look, they look okay.
They're okay. They look like a Big Ten. They look like a Big Ten football team.
Yeah.
All defense and just methodical offense.
Yeah.
I think they will be in the.
I'm gonna give Will Rogers a little slack because people are upset because he keeps, he doesn't take a clean snap from under center. While he was at Mississippi State, you know how many snaps he took under center?
No, I don't.
None.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden he's taking snaps under center. So of course there's going to be a few miscues.
Yeah.
Because he's not used to that.
Yeah.
It's a whole different scheme. But they'll get it together. I think I like them. I like him. I like the team. Their defense is pretty good. I think they're gonna, they're not gonna have as good a season as last season. That was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But they're still gonna be a bowl team.
Yeah,
I
agree.
In my estimation. And if you're gonna find out who they are, when they hit the road Friday at Rutgers, that's gonna tell us who they are, because Rutgers is 3-0.
Yep.
Right. And so if they can go to Jersey and handle their business, then they'll be, then I'm like, okay, I'm good with them. But if they get smoked, then I might have a problem.
Yeah.
Or if they lose close, I won't be too upset, because even though, of course, I'd want them to win, but if they lose a close competitive game, then, that's hard. That's all you can ask for, because look, it's hard to win on the road. Right.
Agree.
Because we don't want people coming up here to Husky Stadium and beating them, and we make it tough on them. So consequently, when we go on the road, other teams make it tough on us.
Who you got in the SEC showdown premier game this weekend of Alabama versus Georgia?
Oh, toss up, bro. I haven't seen Georgia. I've seen Alabama, and of course we know DeBoer. From what I've seen from Alabama, they're going to be tough to beat.
I agree with you. I think I'm a slightly lean towards Alabama. I know it's early, but I've seen enough of Georgia where I don't know if they're going to be able to move the ball, but we all know they're the best defense in college football. So it's definitely going to be a close, I think, low.
Well, which team has the best quarterback?
Alabama.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's who I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with the team with the best quarterback. So, Milroe might be the guy that Carolina probably should have waited for.
Yeah.
Panthers, I mean, yeah. So,
I can't wait to get into that, man.
Yes, we will get into that right after after the break, as a matter of fact. Once we get into the break, we'll get into the NFL, and we'll talk about all the craziness that's been going on in week 3. So don't go away, folks. When we come back, that's what we're going to talk about. Be right back.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not being reprimanded by traffic cops, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Hey renters, have you ever had a landlord do something that didn't seem legal? Have you ever wondered if you have any rights as a renter? Well, you do, but it's not always clear what they are. That's why Solid Grounds Tenant Services offers free online renters webinars 3 times a month. Just go to solid-ground.org/RAR to learn more. This is a free opportunity to learn more about your rights as a renter. Again, just go to solid-ground.org/RAR.
Hey y'all, it's Traffic Jam with Kareem.
Thursday at 4 p.m.
Hey, Traffic Jam. Rainier Avenue Radio, download the app so you don't miss out what's popping, what's cracking, shining. It's your boy, Cream the Dream, on another beautiful week on here on Traffic Jam in Seattle. I hope you guys doing what you're supposed to do, being you're supposed to be. I got a good show for y'all, a lot to talk about, Kareem the Dream, keep up with everything.
Get your entertainment news with Kareem on the Traffic Jam, Thursday at 4 p.m.
The beat of the Fox with nastiness is back on K-Fox Night Beat.
Yo, what's the deal? It's the legendary Hall of Fame DJ Mixmaster Ice UTFO.
What's up? Who you thought this is? This is Sir Mix-a-Lot.
And this is Terry Lewis.
And I'm Grand Mixer GMS.
What's up, y'all? This is DJ Third Degree.
This is JJ Hudson from the High Children family.
Sunday nights from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's K-Fox Night Beat with DJ Nastiness.
Bringing back the memories.
Bringing back the memories.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music. Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
That's right. Keep noise.
Peace. Support for Rainier Avenue Radio comes from Friends of Waterfront Park, announcing their 2024 season of free events and programs at Pier 62, the first part of Seattle's premier downtown waterfront park to open to the public. Come for free events and programs, including fitness and wellness classes throughout the summer, weekly spotlight performances on Thursday evenings, cultural festivals, daily amenities, games, and more. To learn more, go to waterfrontparkseattle.org.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update.
And welcome back to the second half of the show right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, LidLine Sports. Washington OSPI debate is this Thursday right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, Thursday at 6 p.m. And on Friday, we've got a doubleheader for Washington's 3A Metro High School football. We've got on Friday night, Rainier Beach at Garfield starting at 5 p.m. And at 7:45, we've got fashionable Ballard, facing number 9 Roosevelt. So tune in Friday, 5 o'clock and 7:45 p.m. right here live on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Oh, so we're going to get into this National Football League, and your video froze, so it looks like you're sleeping. Am I boring you, sir? But anyway, we're going to get into some National Football League. Currently, right now, what we have here, we've got the Commanders up on the Bengals, 31-26 now. The Bengals looks like they're trying to creep closer, and the Bills and the Jaguars, that's all but hooting and hollering is done, because it's 47-10, folks. We know that's a wrap. So yeah. So that's a bow on that. But this week had some upsets. We had the Carolina Panthers get their first win with a 36-22 shellacking of the Las Vegas Raiders. What other surprise was there? Oh, the Broncos, who came in here and looked pretty clownish against the Seattle Seahawks. Everybody was saying, oh, the Seahawks beat up a team that's no good. Oh, really? Well, they went down to Tampa, who was undefeated, and beat them 26-7. So please explain.
I'm starting to understand this league a little bit.
Oh, good.
As you watch, as soon as you get a little comfortable, you expect the unexpected to happen. Something just felt wacky about this weekend. I'm starting to learn that it happens in the NFL. Now, I was a little surprised with the Broncos win, but I was not surprised with the Panthers. I just knew something was just off about that game, and I was right.
Well, good call by you then. And the Giants beat up the Browns 21-15. That was a surprise.
Yep.
The way the Vikings manhandled Texans, Houston, 34-7. Nobody saw that one coming, especially the way that Houston played Chicago just a few nights ago. So that's something else. So now the Vikings look like the best team in the NFC, if you want to be honest, as far as how they looked the first 3 games. They shellacked them 34-7. They beat San Francisco a week before that, and so they're 3-0, just like the Seahawks are 3-0. The Packers manhandled the Titans. That's no surprise.
Yeah, they're bad. They'll be playing for the number 1 draft pick for sure.
I guess you could say a huge surprise would be the crippled Rams beating the crippled Niners.
Very surprised.
Yes, because the Niners had the lead the whole game except for the last 2 seconds. That sounds like a Seahawk game.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't know how many times the Seahawks did something like that. You lead the whole game, and then in the last minute or two, you blow it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I'm like, wow, okay. So everybody in the NFC is 1-2 except for the Seahawks, who are 3-0. And there's another 3-0 team in the AFC that has a quarterback that has been much maligned and criticized, but he's 3-0. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Man, that's a good question.
Okay.
You talking about Fields? Justin
I
Fields?
sure am.
Okay. You almost stumped me.
Yes, and so my Steelers are 3-0. And look, I'm hyping them up only because I know it probably won't last because their offense is still shaky, but their defense has been very good. They beat what we now have come to find out, that Atlanta can be formidable when they're right, because they beat the Eagles in Philly and then go home and lose to Kansas City. But come on, man. Yikes, man. The referees, man, it's really getting ugly as far as, I hate that people use the refs for excuses.
Yeah.
That was kind of legit, man, because, it seems like Kansas City gets all the breaks. Now, I don't know if it's because they're the champions, and I don't know what it is, but they seem to be getting all the breaks. And I don't, wow. I mean, blatant.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
It was blatant.
Yeah, I'm seeing a pattern.
Before they had basically the same call against them, and it was called. So I don't know how you don't call that. It's crazy.
I'm starting to see that pattern too, and it's almost like as if the NFL is trying to paint a picture of turning the Kansas City Chiefs into America's team. With everything they got going on with Mahomes and
I hate that
Kelsey,
term.
and then I know, and then you
I
got
hate it. Yeah.
you got Taylor Swift, who they can't stop showing on camera every time that she's at a game. It's almost like they're just throwing the Chiefs at us, and it gets a little bit annoying. But the refs, it's starting to become a little blatant now, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, and I hate the term America's team because, look, there's 30 teams and there's cities all over America that people root for different teams. I don't want to hear no America's team kind of stuff because, you might like LA and I'm going to like Pittsburgh, and some other people are going to like, San Francisco and whatever, and that's fine with me. I like that. I like that everybody likes different teams except for a few group that all are the same, which is fine. But this America's team crap, man, oh my gosh, that was what, in the 70s with the Dallas Cowboys, and I get it because they were on TV all the time. That's why, they were on TV constantly, and that's all you saw was Dallas Cowboys versus the Rams, or Cowboys versus the Giants. It was Cowboys. So they became America's team because of the network did that, not because America says that's who we want.
Yeah.
Let's get it straight here. The network did that. So it's nuts. But anyway, let's get into the Seahawks.
Yes, looked really well.
I mean, the game was kind of weird.
Yes.
They started off looking good, and then after they took a 17-3 lead, they just kind of like lost interest or something. And then these yellow things that started popping up all over the field every 5 seconds, like four straight plays. There was a flag. They had to kick the ball 3 straight times in order, punt. I mean, that's ridiculous, man. Come on, they need to do better than that. Now I have to say a lot of those calls were legit, unfortunately.
Agreed.
So, we got to live with that, unfortunately. But I don't know. It's still early in the season, so And of course, I'm not going to do a fraud report until probably after week 5. I've decided that's ample time to determine who's good, who's frauding it up, and whatnot. But the Seahawks, I think the improvement is legit.
Yes, agree.
I really do. Yes, there's some things they need to work on. Yes, the running defense isn't the greatest, but it is not nearly as terrible as it has been in the last 2 years.
Yep.
Right. And to be honest, let's look at the Dolphins running game in this particular matchup. Achan, who's their top runner, had 11 carries and he got 30 yards. That's 2.7 yards a carry, folks. He's not gashing.
I love with that.
Wright had 2 carries for 17. He did gash because that was 8.5 yards a carry, but he only got 2 carries. Right. And I was talking to Michael, I was texting him. I said, when it was 17-3, I said, look, Miami's not out of this. All they have to do is run the football because that's where their success was. They can run the football. All they had to do was stick to that, and they would have been fine. But they felt that they needed to pass. And what happens when you have an inexperienced practice squad quarterback throwing the ball back there? Mistakes will happen, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, they happen to pros. I mean, to veterans. Gino, he had two balls carry him off and get intercepted, so. But he ain't the only one. Folks complain about Gino and all that, and his happy feet and all that, and yeah, there's some of that. But I've been looking all around the league. He is not the only one. I mean, Caleb Williams was running for his life. C.J. Stroud in Minnesota, oh my God, he needed bodyguards because they were all over him. He couldn't do anything, and he's got weapons. So,
I thought.
Did we lose him again?
Yes, agree.
Are you there? All right. Anyway, hopefully he'll get back soon.
Yep.
But the Vikings were all over C.J. Stroud. He couldn't do anything. And then Chicago Bears can't run. So Caleb Williams had to throw 52 times. So you want your rookie quarterback throwing 52 passes? I don't. Right? I don't care who his weapons are. I do not want my guy throwing over 50 passes. Gino, when's the last time he's thrown 50 passes? You can't name it, and neither can I. If you've got a quarterback throwing 50 times, they are in trouble. They got problems. They're behind most of the time. So the fact that we're not doing that, it's a good sign. And I like the fact that Ryan Grubb knows how to get DK the ball. If you've noticed the last couple of weeks, DK's caught not only a long pass, but he's also catching meaty. He's also doing crossing routes, which he wasn't doing before. And they're hitting him in medium passes. And also Jackson Smith and Jigba. Again, he wasn't as prolific as he was last week, but you're not going to get that every week. Each game has its own identity, so you got to go with the hot receiver. It looks like Fant had a lot of targets yesterday, so that was good to see that the tight ends were getting some love. Tight end Barner and Noah Fant, and even Farrell Brown caught one, so that's good to see. And like I said, it's still early in the season, so the offense is still trying to get cohesive, still trying to get their rhythm. And the Seahawks work better when they are in rhythm. We're not in the huddle, when they're not, trying to decide what they're going to do or whatever. When they go from play to play to play to play, Gino can sling it, and Gino is rolling. And that's their best game right now. And even Zach Charbonnet, he ran the ball well yesterday, even though they got stopped a few times. They kept with it. They didn't just leave it, right? They didn't just give up. They still got him the ball, and he was able to kick it outside, running in between the tackles and finally kick it outside. So he's finally seeing some holes and some channels that he can run through. He's no Kenneth Walker by any stretch, but 18 carries for 91 yards is is a very nice job. 5.1 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. That's good. Kenny McIntosh even got some run. He had 3 carries for 11 yards. So it's almost 4 yards a carry. So that was good to see. So the Seahawks looking better and better. It's going to be a tough task next Monday night in Detroit. Detroit went to Arizona and put a stop to Arizona's fun and games from the previous week when they blew up the Rams. But we've said this many times. NFL's week to week. You see how bad the Rams were last week, but they come in and beat the San Francisco 49ers this week. So it's good to see that the NFC West guys are beating up on each other. We haven't played them yet, but that's good. Let them do that. We'll take it. We get Detroit next week, Monday night. It's going to be on ABC. There's 2 games Monday night next week, just like there was 2 games tonight. Titans and Dolphins play on ESPN next week. Nobody's watching that outside of Nashville and Miami, I'm sure. Because man, that's not a good matchup right now. I mean, of course, before the season, you would look at that matchup like, oh, that looks pretty good. But now, oh boy, that looks ugly. The Dolphins need a quarterback, and they're gonna need to look for. Even though they got Tyler Huntley, they're probably gonna have to get another one. They're probably gonna look at Dorian Robinson from the Browns, maybe Russell from Pittsburgh, and forgot who else I'm thinking of. Maybe it'll come to me. There's a third one I'm thinking of. That they might look at. Oh, Zach Wilson from the Broncos. We know that none of those right now are basically names that's going to get you far, perhaps. But at least they all have experience, right? And they can, if they can hold the lead if they have it, right? Because you got a great running game. They probably got the top running game in the league with Achane. And then, of course, you got Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and Barrios and those kind of guys. So Miami, if they get a good quarterback, should be right back up there. And they do have a solid defense. Look, Geno had to, run for his life a little bit, and he had to step up and got busted up a little bit. But Miami's got a good interior defense. And then, of course, Jordan Brooks wanted to play well because he's an ex-Seahawk. So yeah, but the Seahawks beating the Miami Dolphins 24-3 is impressive to the fact because this time last year they weren't nowhere close to this as far as defensively, even offensively. They were very mediocre, and on defense they were just atrocious, right? Everybody ran through the Seahawks like water. They couldn't stop anybody on third down. They couldn't stop being penalized when they did get a stop on third down. And so a lot of that has actually curtailed a great deal, actually, even though the penalties were abundant yesterday, but that was both teams. So I'm not going to really blame the Seahawks for that, and it didn't cost them anything. But defensively, they played much better overall. To the fact that Miami, even though they were playing a practice squad quarterback, they only got 3 points all game. So that's a good thing. And then, of course, they've only given up 43 points in the first 3 games, which is pretty good. It's not bad. I mean, 20 in the first 2, but only 3 this game. So, yeah, kudos to the defense and Mike McDonald and their coaching adjustments in game that they continuously do. They showed the adjustments in against Denver. They showed adjustments against New England. They didn't really have to adjust a whole lot yesterday. Basically, they just had to get things back in rhythm when they fell out of rhythm. And they were able to do that finally in the last quarter. They started to get their offense going. They started to get first downs again because they were like, at one time, they were 1 for 9 on first down and third down conversions, And then Miami wasn't much better. They were like 1 of 8. So you got 2 teams, 2 of 17, 18 from third down. How often does that happen? Usually one team is rolling The other team can't get anything done. But this time it was both teams couldn't get anything done until the Seahawks finally got a few things going and got rolling late in the second half. So how do you guys feel about what you're seeing so far with the Seahawks? I'm seeing vast improvement from what they were, because remember, they were the worst defensive team in the league the last 2-3 years. And even if they just get into the middle of the pack this season, that's a tremendous improvement if you think about it. You know, to be expecting them to be top 5, top 10 is a little far-fetched, but what if it happens? Okay, cool. Then, good on Mike McDonald. But if he can get them just middle of the pack, right, and get them off the 30 and 25 down there, if you can get them off there and put them in the 15 to 20 range as far as defensively, that's outstanding. It's considered where they were the previous couple of years. And then, of course, then you build on from that. And if you get 15 to 20 this year, the next year you want to try and get in the top 10 to top 12 defensively, and so on and so forth. So hopefully that will happen. But I like the improvement. I also like the steadiness of Geno. Geno, yeah, he made a couple of bad tosses, but I've noticed every quarterback so far has done that. Nobody's immune to that, right? And even Derek Carr, right? He was rolling the first 2 games. Derek Carr was. New Orleans scored on 14 straight series the first 2 games. They hadn't been in a game where they couldn't score a touchdown. But guess what? Got home, got home cooking, got comfortable. Philly came in there, shut them down. They got nothing, hardly, right? They finally scored late, but they couldn't stop Saquon. He rushed for 147 yards, and Philly got just the guy they wanted from the Giants. And the Giants are probably like, what the heck are we doing? Yeah, that's what I want to know. What are you doing? You kept Daniel Jones and you got rid of Saquon. Okay, whatever. But kudos to the Giants. They took care of business Sunday, beat the Browns. The Browns, woo. You talk about a team in turmoil and trouble. That's the Browns. I mean, before the season started, we all thought that the Browns, or at least the pundits thought that the Browns were going to be one of the top defensive teams, and then they thought that Deshaun would get his quarterback swag back. But none of that has happened. First game against Dallas, Cleveland was terrible. They won their second game, and then they come home again and get smoked by by the Giants. I mean, come on. Daniel Jones looked like Dan Marino, right? I mean, he looked good. So I don't know. I guess you know what they say. You know what they say. The sun shines on the dogs. You know what? So that's what happened to Daniel Jones and Andy Dalton, right? You've heard me talk about Andy Dalton for the Panthers because he's been on 100 teams now since he left Cincinnati. He's been in Dallas. He's been in New Orleans. He's been in now Carolina. He's been I can't remember where else. Lord knows where else he's been, and he was trash everywhere. But he sure put it on him yesterday. He threw for 300 and some odd yards. He looked like the old Red Rifle from Cincinnati in the regular season, because he sure couldn't do it in the playoffs when he was with Cincinnati. Playoffs. But he sure did in the regular season. So I'm going to give Andy Dalton some kudos this week for the performance he did in Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, they were so good that Antonio Pierce is questioning his players. He's like, what are you here for? What do I gotta make some changes? He's talking about changing the quarterback. He's talking about he's worried about Devontae Adams because it looks like he's lifeless. He's like not interested. So the Vegas Raiders big win over Baltimore in Baltimore last week, all for naught this week. NFL is what? Week to week, because man, they look good one week, the next week you don't look good. So that's why I'm trying not to be too excited about the Steelers. I'm trying not to be too excited about the Seahawks. I'm trying to stay even keeled because I know adversity is coming. for both of them, not just one or the other, for both of them, because both of them are going to have much tougher opponents coming up soon. Even though the Steelers play at Indianapolis, I'm not saying that's not doable, but Indianapolis finally won their first game last week, or yesterday rather. So, but they could be tough. They got a good running game, but the Steelers' defense has been impressive. They've only given up 30 points in 3 games, folks, total. So teams aren't moving the ball on them. They're not scoring on them. So, the thing about it is, if the Steelers had any semblance of offense, I'd feel a whole lot better. But their offense is pretty mediocre, to say the least, even though, hey, look, Justin Fields is 3-0. What are the Bears right now? 1-2 with Caleb Williams. And, of course, Williams is a rookie, so that's fine. I'm sure they'll get it together later on in the season. The quarterback, a rookie quarterback in the NFL, the NFL is not made for rookies at quarterback. It's just not. If you're a superstar, Dan Marino, for instance, because he went to the Super Bowl as a rookie. Those are few and far between, folks. Tom Brady had to wait a year. Aaron Rodgers had to wait 3 years. Okay? The only ones that came in as rookies and did something, got you to the playoffs or a regular season. Look, Peyton Manning, as a rookie, 28 interceptions. Okay? So those folks that are panicking and nitpicking Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels and whatnot, not paying attention to the past, right? Hardly anybody's come in here and set it on fire. We thought that Trevor Lawrence would do that. Well, it looks like he's taking a step back, doesn't it? It's taken Josh Allen. It took Josh Allen a couple of years to get to where he's getting to be a top 2, 3, 4 quarterback. It takes time in the NFL. The NFL quarterback position is the toughest job in sports. People say it's hitting a baseball. If that's the case, then how come all these guys can hit baseballs? How come all these guys, everybody on every team can hit baseballs, but not everybody could be an NFL quarterback? You got to be able to read the defense. You got to get the ball out. You got to know what you're doing. And there's only like 10 quarterbacks that's worth their salt in the NFL. Everybody else is just adequate, to be honest. So, it's a tough job. It's the toughest job. I'll stand by that. But anyway, I'm sorry we lost O for the last part of the show, and you guys got to hear me ramble on. Sorry about that, but that's the way it goes. Live radio, you gotta make do. But we will be back next week to talk more sports, so don't go away. Come back. We'll see you next week. Holla.